stories. Don't worry, they're all very, very tiny micro stories. And I'm calling them Care and Coffee. A story in 4 acts. So I'm Parvita and I'm going to tell you four mini stories. How care can sometimes look exactly like a cup of coffee. It's a simple drink, isn't it? We have it all the time. Hot water, some coffee, maybe a splash of milk, a bit of sugar. But as I have learned, traveling from India to Ireland and Kolkata to Limerick, coffee could be a date, a weapon, a peace treaty, a joke, or a homecoming. So the first story, the paper cup. I hope my manager is not here. My ex-manager. I was wondering whether I'm going to start with this story or not, but I got courage from the first speaker where we were talking about well-being and coffee. So not very long ago, I used to work in a place where everybody looks like my manager now. Oh my God. So, I used to work in a place where well-being was very well timed. 11 o'clock, Wednesday, well-being coffee. Sometimes if the budget allowed, there were sandwiches. And no, it was well intentioned, and we all used to be there, and I wrote something nice about it. Yeah, stress was stirred into the milk, and burnout was dunked like a digestive biscuit. But any mention of salary increments and or systemic changes or sick policy, politely avoided. Somewhere between the second biscuit and the third polite nod, there was always the quiet, unspoken question: is this what real care looks like? But I drank the coffee, because when care is served in a paper cup, you don't ask many questions. The second story, it's also care and coffee. So I'll take you back a couple of decades and to a different country, supposedly where I come from. So this was my first job posting, and it was in a town which was away, 800 kilometers away from my hometown. But there were still the people who spoke my language, who ate the same food, dressed the same way, same shade of brown, give or take a shade. I was within my people, but no, I realized there was something different. I was feeling quite like an outsider, and it all came to prove true when the Students' Union, now this is something I can't quite explain to you within the 10-minute scope. The Students' Union there is very powerful, and often there are students who should have finished and left long ago, but they're still there. There are like caregivers. So they demanded half of my salary, first months, as a generous contribution, charity to the student fund. Now, I wasn't willing to really part with that. It's my first salary, like in a permanent good job, a government job. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this. And my colleagues said, no, you better do. You shouldn't fall into their bad books. They're on the show. And I was wondering what to do. So I asked the leader of the student union, who was barely 2 or 3 years younger than me then at the time, I asked him for coffee at home. Very, very bold move. He came, however, and so over a cup of coffee I said, why are you doing this? Why am I supposed to pay this sum of money? It's extortion, basically. I didn't say the extortion bit, but I said, why? And he said, because you're an outsider. So, same language, same food, same dress, same color of brown, outsider. Because I've come from the city. You know, Kolkata is a big metropolitan city. I've come to literally like 800 kilometers away. So, and I go, I don't know, the coffee was really good, or whatever it was. I was brave enough to say, well, if I am an outsider, then I'm your guest, and you should take care of me. I don't know what happened, whether the caffeine was good or the biscuits really did their job or whatever, but he saw the point. He should take care of me. And 1.5 years later, I was very homesick and left that job, which is a big question mark anyways, but at the, at the railway station, they did come with flowers, tears, and a bag of their finest teas and coffees. So that's my second story. I have managed to say it without looking. And now the third one. This is an uncle and the modern coffee, and this I could, repeat in another night where the theme would be strangers. So it's about strangers. So fast forward to a decade later, and I'm again in a new place or an unknown town because of some medical reasons. So this city, this town rather, is very well known for its medical facilities. People go there all the time for that. So we were there, and the doctor and the medical part was really terrible. It almost seemed that we could, almost about to die sort of stuff. And we were very dejected and sitting in a church. There was nobody else there. And, but there was actually a man, and we hadn't seen him, but he turned around and he said, he saw the hospital wristbands, like the nightclub ones you have on your wrist. So we had those, and there was something peeking from my pocket, and he said, hospital, doctor. And so Indians, the tragedy or comedy is we don't understand each other's language very often, so we speak in broken English. So he said, doctor appointment? I said, yeah. And he says, he wants to see the card. Now this is a man who's kind of retired, would be 65, 60. And he says, he asks for the card. I show him, he says, tomorrow, 7 a.m., main gate. And the card, the hospital appointment was clearly for 10 a.m. So I didn't know why he was saying, but he kept insisting. He took our phone number, and I gave it. Probably I was really distressed or whatever. I didn't care too much. Next morning, he was there. He texted us to reach at 7, and he was there. Now the medical part, I won't even get into it. It was really bad, but the part I want to talk about is how this man, whose wife was a head nurse, and in this hospital, on a day, there would be 50,000 people. It was that big and that crowded. He guided us through everything. I don't know why. I didn't know his name for the next few days. He got us refunds when tests were cancelled, or he did everything. And then one day, and he would often ask us for lunch or dinner, which was the last thing on our minds, but one day he brought cake to our little, lodge. We were in a small kind of a lodge, and there was no kitchen there, of course, but I had an electric kettle because we love tea and coffee. And I thought I should offer him something because he's been doing so much for us. And I said, do you want some coffee? And he said, yeah. He said it in good faith. Now, we were very used to drinking black tea and black coffee, as we used to call it. But probably he'd never, ever tasted anything like that. So I heated up the water, I made black coffee, there was no milk, no sugar, and I offered it to him. He looked at it and he was like, what's this? And then he tasted it. And he contorted his face and he said, modern coffee? And I don't want to mimic his accent, but it's heavily accented the way he said it. And for a second, we forgot that doctors was telling us that how long we had to live and what we had to do to go on living or maybe not living, etc. Everything was forgotten. And in that moment, we all just laughed at the absurdity of the thing, how we have been drinking black coffee for years, but for him, it was something completely new, and that's what I was offering him. So 1 year later, we went back for a checkup, and this time I thought I'll ask him why did he help us. And although at the time we didn't know who he was or what he was, we thought we should ask now. And he pointed at my face and he said, your face, Mother Mary. And then he stopped for a second and said, also Marilyn Monroe. I didn't take it seriously. Like I was like thinner than now. But even then, I wasn't really taking it seriously. But yeah, that was his reason. Now, this is Limerick. It's Riverfest time. So a story about care has to be a Limerick story at the end. So 7 years ago, we moved to Limerick. I won't say we moved at the time. I thought I was on leave, okay? I thought I'll go back in 2 months, and no offense, don't kill me all of you, because I thought Limerick is a funny poem. And please don't, it's very risky to say this here, but I came here with my husband, still alive, and 2 kids who are only just about 6. So at first we were at the Absolute for 2 weeks, and then we found a place in the suburbs. So the day we were moving in, a neighbor, it was 5 o'clock, she was returning from work, and she had 2 kids. They were roughly the same age as my kids. Now my kids were probably very happy to see someone their age. They just walked up and they said, "Do you want to be friends?" And by that time, my neighbor, this woman was already talking to me. So we got talking, the kids had dinner together, and I cannot count how many times the kids have had dinner together. After that, so long we stayed there. But during COVID particularly, it was great for the kids to have each other. School was closed and all. But where I want to end this is, in 2022, I was returning after a visit to India, and for some reason we were not allowed to board some flights and this and that, so the 17-hour journey took more than 30 hours. So we were dead tired, and my neighbor had asked that we should inform her when we reached Dublin airport. So it was 6:30 in the morning. I remember the day so well. It was snowing, and after that very harried journey from Kolkata to Dublin, I would never have thought 7 years ago that this place could feel welcoming. And it was snowing very lightly. It felt like a welcome. And we stepped out very tired, and I texted her and I said, we are now taking the bus. She texted back saying that breakfast is waiting for you. Come. So, you know how you feel when you are 8,000 miles away from home. So we came and reached Limerick around 10, I would say. And there it was on the table, breakfast and tea and coffee. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. That seems joyous. Well, look, time we don't leave.